You mentioned George Dillman at least twice now. Let me ask you this, okay? Again, I'm a student of the martial arts since 80, I guess it was 85 when I started. I've gotten to see a lot of different things. I mean, I remember the old Black Belt magazine and Kung Fu magazine and all the George Dillman had, and him along with a bunch of, a lot of people had ads in there for teaching things, get by this VHS tape and whatever,
He was on
right?
the cover. He was on the cover several times.
On the cover. But, you and I, we've gotten to see years, decades of these martial artists, right? Who's the worst, in your opinion, of all your recorded time of doing this? Is George Dillman the worst?
No, I do not think he's the worst. So just to touch on George Dillman, and then I'll answer your question. So George Dillman, to me, has a little bit more of what I call Steven Seagal syndrome than anything else. So like if you look at Steven Seagal's earlier on in his career, he was a martial artist by trade. That's what he did, right? And then he just happened to fall into place with a producer or director who he was teaching, and all of a sudden he was able to get into movies, right? And then his ego was fed, that he already had an ego, obviously, but his ego was fed by people who catered to that and made him who he is today. And he allowed that to happen too, by having the yes men in his corner, by having people kiss his ass. Dillman was the same way. Back in the day, Dillman did full contact sport karate back when it was like televised and it was like sponsored by Budweiser. Like the dude fought, like he really did. But then like when you start getting people who are around you that start hyping you up more than you are, you have to try to find a way to keep a level head. Or you can go the Dillman route or the Seagal route. But if you look at somebody who didn't do that, look at Chuck Norris. He was a full contact champion. He was in movies, very well known at the time. One of the first true martial arts action stars.
Longer than either one of those two.
Yeah, and I mean the dude, like he probably could have had all those people in his corner kissing his ass. He probably still does, right? I've seen it. People, like, when they know Chuck Norris is going to be in the building, they freak the fuck out, right?
Chuck Norris has his own. Remember when people were saying like the Chuck Norris jokes? Man, he's got his own line of jokes.
Exactly, and I think that the reason that that's so funny is because he's not really like that. He's just like level-headed dude and legit badass, full contact karate champion and a black belt under the Machados. Like the dude has earned his stripes.
Legit.
He's truly legit. And we could joke and of course you could joke at it because he's a celebrity. So we're going to joke in his, in his expense, but he could have gone the other way. He could have easily gone the Steven Seagal way. He could have been a womanizer and he could have been an asshole, but he's not. He's like the nicest fucking dude I've ever met.
You know what, man? To be honest with you, there's probably many times that Steven Seagal had gotten sort of that reality check wake up call. But the story I love, and Joe Rogan talked about it, I forget with who, but he talked about when Judo Gene LaBelle choked out Steven Seagal and Seagal shot himself.
Yeah. That story I believe. Because you have to kind of know a little bit about Gene LaBelle to kind of get that that's probably real, because Gene LaBelle is probably one of the most honest, brutally honest person you'll ever meet. Him and Bill Wallace to me are the most brutally honest people I've ever met. Bill Wallace called me. I won't say that. I'm not going to say it on the thing because I don't want to give him a hard time with that reputation.
Tell me later. Tell me after.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So back to your question though about who I think is the worst.
The worst.
Who I think is the worst is not martial artists at all, to be honest. The worst that I've ever seen are these companies that hire who jump on bandwagons like Tech Insider did, like Marie Claire did, like 5 Minute Crafts did. Those are the worst, because what they did was they jumped on this bandwagon and they said, you know what? We have all this content we're trying to release. Let's go ahead and put out some content about self-defense. Tech Insider hired this lady from New York. They did 4 or 5 videos and it was utter garbage, to the point where it just infuriated me. I had to stop watching halfway through because of how asinine this lady was speaking. You could tell she had never been in a physical altercation in her fucking life.
No clue.
You could tell she'd never been in an altercation in her life. And yet here she was talking with such bravado and confidence, like she knew exactly how to get somebody off a mount. Just wiggle your hips. That's all you got to do to get them off mount. Wiggle your hips and your hip will hit them in the crotch. I could tell you for a fact, lady, from years on the mat, even before I did jiu-jitsu and we just grappled and I wasn't doing anything formal. If you want somebody off a mount, wiggling your hips ain't going to do it. All right. They're going to punch you in the face several times on the way as well, I promise. So wiggle your hips all you want. But what happened with that particular video, it blew up. In the martial arts community, we all ripped it apart because it was hot garbage. It's still out today, and they kept it up. But millions of comments from people who were saying, oh, my God, I'm so glad you put this out. This is going to help me so much protect myself. People bought it. Then Marie Claire released this video. And the lady that they hired was a model, very impressive fitness model. I give her credit. She's a great personal trainer, right? But she doesn't know any martial arts at the time. None. Knew nothing. She admitted to me in a conversation she knew nothing about martial arts at all. She made some stuff up, literally just made it up. And they put it out there for the world to see as the self-defense techniques that you have to know. She didn't know anything. And Marie Claire pushed it. And of course, same thing. Oh my God, I'm so happy that you did this. Me and my girlfriends are going to practice this at home. You're going to practice how to get your ass beat is what you're going to do.
You got to believe. Okay, that good point. I didn't think you were going to go there. That's awesome, man. The fact that they have such a gigantic reach, more so than any martial artist ever could at this point. You know, all the women that are, watching Marie Claire's stuff, all their content, and it's all of them practically. And they're putting out information that they realize, maybe do they not realize that you could actually get some people hurt or killed given this information?
I think that they truly think that they're helping people. But here's my philosophy on this, right? Sometimes knowing nothing is better than knowing just enough to get you hurt, right? You know how much I know about electrical work? Nothing. Do you know why I know nothing? Because I'm not an electrician. Who do I hire? I hire an electrician. Who do I not hire? I don't look at Marie Claire's online tutorials about electricity. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because that will get me just enough to get me hurt. What I'll do in that scenario, just to play by play here, right?
Okay.
Is I'll play the YouTube video, Marie Claire, blah, 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 intro here. And then all of a sudden somebody's going to pop up, some big burly looking dude who's going to look like an electrician, right? Who knows nothing about electricity most likely because they didn't do their job for the martial arts thing. And you go, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to take this wire here. I'm going to cut this wire in here. We're going to put these two wires together. And then I'm going to pause it. Then I'm going to go do that and electrocute myself. Then I'm dead. Now, had I played out the rest of the video, it probably would have been like, oh, but first, please make sure you turn off your electrical outlet before you do that. Right? Oh, well, I'm an idiot because I didn't actually listen to the whole thing. And that guy's an idiot for not going step one first, right? It's the same thing with martial arts. Step one, somebody tries to take your purse. Let them have it. Boom, problem solved.
Done.
Right? Instead of going, oh, here's all this self-defense, and then go, oh, but first you should try to let them have the purse. This is dumb. It's dumb.